So imagine this. A wife writes a letter to a doctor, pouring her heart out about her marriage, which is falling apart. But the doctor's diagnosis? It's probably not what you think. Today, we're diving into a really controversial case study from Dr. Italo Marsili that takes a common marital crisis and just flips it completely on its head.
This sentence right here, this is the heart of the letter. And, it's a cry for help that probably sounds pretty familiar to a lot of us, right? A marriage under serious strain. But trust me, the doctor's analysis is anything but familiar.
All right, so let's get into the specifics. The woman who wrote this is 38 years old. She's 3 years into her second marriage, she's got a new baby, plus 2 kids from her first marriage. So on the surface, you're probably thinking, okay, classic blended family under a ton of stress.
Okay, so let's break down what's actually happening at home from her point of view. Her mother-in-law, who has early-stage Alzheimer's, moves in. Her husband then becomes her 100% full-time caregiver. The wife feels like this is some kind of weird, unfair trade. And, here's a really key detail, she points out that her mother-in-law can actually afford professional care. So, with a brand new baby in the house, she feels completely alone, unsupported, and just totally overwhelmed.
And this is how she puts it in her own words. I feel alone in a war. I mean, just listen to that phrase. She doesn't just say life is hard or she's struggling. She calls it a war. And you really have to remember that specific word because it becomes the absolute linchpin of the doctor's entire diagnosis. So what do you think is going on here? You'd expect the diagnosis to be something about, a communication breakdown, or they need to set better boundaries, or there's an unfair division of labor. All the standard stuff. But Dr. Marsili? He just throws all of that right out the window. He says the true problem is something else entirely.
Instead of even looking at the marriage, Marsili completely reframes the issue. He turns the spotlight right back onto the woman who wrote the letter. He argues that the external situation, the sick mother-in-law, the exhausted husband, that's not the real problem. It's just the catalyst that's revealing a much, much deeper issue inside of her.
And there it is. The diagnosis is profound egoism. According to Marsili, the root of all her sadness isn't what's happening to her. It's the way she's filtering every single event through this lens of me, me, me. Her needs, her feelings, her exhaustion.
Okay, so that's a pretty harsh diagnosis, right? How in the world does he justify it? Well, Marsili starts by deconstructing her entire worldview, and it all starts with that one key word she used, war.
This is really the heart of his entire argument. You have her perspective, I'm in a war, a life of total struggle. And then you have Dr. Marsili's response, which is basically, what war? What are you talking about? He says you live a life of absolute comfort with microwaves, disposable diapers, electricity, things that would have been unimaginable for most of human history. He sees her perception of suffering as completely disconnected from reality.
Marsili also zeroes in on her choice of words. When she's describing her sick mother-in-law's condition in a formal email, she uses this very crude, dismissive language. For Marsili, this isn't just a small detail. He sees it as a giant red flag, as clear evidence of a profound lack of love and just basic human decency for this sick woman.
And this all leads him to the next pillar of his argument. Marsili believes her entire crisis comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of what love actually is.
Remember her very first sentence? My admiration for him is ending. Marsili seizes on this. He argues that if you base a relationship on admiration, you're building your house on sand. You admire strength, you admire success, you admire performance. But what happens when all of that is gone?
And this is the logical conclusion he draws. If your love is just admiration, well then you literally cannot love someone who is sick or weak or dependent. You can't love a child. You can't love your husband when he's tired and failing. Marsili says this is a completely dehumanizing way to view the people in your life.
So here's the crucial distinction he makes. Admiration is for the strong and the successful. It's conditional. It's something you give in return for performance. But love, real love, according to Marsili, is what you give when someone has nothing left to offer you. It's for the weak, the needy, the dependent. It is, by its very nature, unconditional.
So, given this diagnosis of egoism and a flawed understanding of love, what's the prescription? Well, it's not modern therapy. Instead, Marsili prescribes an ancient path, one that's designed specifically to break this cycle of self-obsession.
He gives her 3 concrete, practical actions: prayer, alms, which just means giving to those in need, and fasting. And for him, these aren't just empty religious rituals. He sees them as powerful, time-tested technologies designed to force a person to look outside of themselves and connect with something bigger.
And the logic here is pretty brilliant. Each action is a practical exercise in decentering yourself. Prayer connects you to a higher power. Giving alms connects you to the needs of other people. And fasting teaches you that your own desires don't have to be the center of the universe.
So let's zoom out and look at the final, overarching theme of Dr. Marsili's analysis. He has a name for this whole problem. He calls it the egoism abyss. Marsili's conclusion is as visceral as it is direct. He says, you want to know why you're sad? The reason for sadness is egoism. And he uses this incredible image of staring into your own navel. What do you find in there? Lint, mold. His point is you can't be happy if that's all you're looking at. True happiness is found by looking outward.
So, to sum it all up, her problem isn't her circumstances. It's her internal state of egoism. And from this perspective, the difficult situation with her mother-in-law isn't a curse at all. It's an opportunity, a chance for her to practice real love and finally break free from herself. And the way out is through concrete spiritual practice.
And that really leaves us with a challenging question, doesn't it? Dr. Marsili's analysis forces us to look at our own lives and ask, when we're unhappy, is the problem really our circumstances, or is it our relentless focus on ourselves?